Welcome to Doctrine and Devotion, a podcast exploring Christian faith and practice from a Reformed Baptist perspective. My name is Joe Thorne. I'm the lead pastor of Redeemer Fellowship in St. Charles, Illinois.
And I'm I'm Jimmy Fowler, the executive pastor at Redeemer Fellowship.
Or you could just say I'm the executive pastor, a.k.a. Fofo, a.k.a. Jimmy J.J. Fowler. You can say whatever you want.
I can say whatever I want. This is my podcast.
You're the executive pastor. You can say
my podcast.
You're executive.
Executive.
Yeah. So when we're recording this, later this week, we will both be leaving.
No, only you'll be leaving.
Oh, I'm leaving. Then
my family's leaving me.
Oh,
yeah.
What happened?
Hey, guys.
Oh, my gosh.
Please pray, guys. No, Michelle and the kids, they're heading up to Canada. Every year, I give my mother-in-law a choice. I say, they either come up for 4 weeks during the summer, or we come up for 1 week at Christmas. So you pick. And she always picks 4 weeks of the summer. So
she wants
Michelle and the
kids to go up for 4 weeks.
Exactly. So they go
4
up,
weeks?
4 weeks, yeah. So
Your wife's going to be gone for a month.
Yeah. And then I go up for the last week of that month.
Okay.
And then to hang out with them, and then we all travel back together.
Okay. All right. So you don't have any kids or wife. You have no familial responsibilities.
Oh, dude, it is probably the best time for that.
So
I shared that with Michelle the other day.
Yeah.
I was like, don't take this the wrong way. I'm so glad you're all leaving.
Well, you're going to get a lot done. I mean, all the work, it's been a rough couple weeks.
So I already feel bad because I have to go in at really early in the morning.
Yeah.
And then I stay late. And so it's like, I feel horrible as a husband and as a father for not being home enough.
Yeah.
And now I won't have that guilt.
Now, does it also mean a little bit more Jofo time?
Yes, it does.
Oh, except I'm going to be gone.
Where are you going?
You know I'm going to South Africa.
Oh, you're going to South Africa?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's going to be fun.
It's going to be fun, but, I'd rather stay home.
Why? No, you can't say that. They listen.
I told it to the guy.
Why?
I met with the guy from South Africa and all the Christian bookstores and everything. I'm coming down there to preach and all that stuff.
Yeah, you said, I'd rather stay home?
Yep.
And they're probably like, oh, well, I'm so glad we're spending this money on you.
I know. I said, listen, I would always rather stay home. But when God calls me to go, I'm ready to go, and I'm ready to do it.
Oh, you're so pious.
Well, I got to make it look that way. They're inviting me down to preach. Mm-hmm. So yeah, at the time of this recording, while we're recording, this is going to drop. I don't know when. I forget. We're a little ahead now. So yeah, I'm going to South Africa. I'll be preaching and hanging out. It's going to be good. Looking forward to that. Mm-hmm. But and you'll be taking off for a little bit.
I'll be taking off August 7th. So this one actually drops August 2nd.
This is also happening. We're recording this on the heels of our workshop, our breakout session.
Oh, man.
At Legacy Chicago.
That's right. And on the heels of you preaching in Evanston.
Yes, that's right.
So what do these both have in common,
Oh,
Joe?
stop. They don't have anything in common.
Joe.
Now, listen.
Joe.
No, I was joking with you when I said that.
Oh, Joe.
I was.
All right.
So here's the thing.
Right.
Here's the thing. We were excited for the Legacy workshop.
Yeah. Legacy was fantastic.
Great people, awesome people.
Really well organized. You got to go. You have to go. Just when you go,
just don't go to our workshop.
Don't go to our workshop.
Because our workshop was terrible.
Oh, goodness. Are we going to put up the photo?
Oh, yes, we are. Yeah. Jimmy.
Okay. Here's how good.
Well, let's put the context here, okay?
Okay, go ahead.
So normally when I lead one of these things, there's tons of people.
I like how you're putting this context because now it sounds like what changed? You added fofo.
No, it definitely wasn't that. I mean, that definitely is a change, but I know that's not why people didn't show. So normally, if you've been to one of my breakout sessions before, every seat is taken. People are standing and sitting along the walls to get into the room. We had a smaller room this time.
Yeah, maybe that's what it was.
And we had half the people. And
not only half the people, I think it was only half full.
Well, that's what I mean. It was half full.
Sorry, I thought I meant half the people you usually get.
And it was less than half when we started. It got up to half, maybe about halfway through. And
then it dipped back down when people left.
Yeah, and it's not like a 60-minute. It's like almost 2 hours. And people were yawning the whole time.
Yes.
And somebody fell asleep.
Yeah, so while Joe and I are standing up front doing this session, Joe's talking, and I got no shame. I grab my phone from the podium, and right there from the podium, I take a pic of some dude sleeping.
In our workshop.
Because Steve McCoy's texting. He's in our group chat. Hey, man, how's it going, guys? How's your break? I go, this good.
Now, why was he sleeping, and why were people yawning, Jimmy? For real.
For real?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I mean, here are the things that go through my head. Is I'm like,
right.
either A, we were horrible.
Mm-hmm.
That's one. B, it was right after lunch. And so I'm like, are people tired? Is the first day? Like, were they traveling all morning?
Listen, I'll tell you right now, that's a preacher excuse right there.
Oh, come on. I'm just trying to throw it out there. I'm just trying to say.
Speaker excuse.
Sometimes people have the post-lunch
Everybody's like,
slump.
yeah, I know. And you know why they get the post-lunch slump? They get the post-lunch spot because they're terrible. All right? You're a terrible preacher. If they put you in the conference, you get the post-lunch, you're the worst speaker on the roster. That's how that works.
Well, hold on.
And
in
then,
your other times, have you been in the post?
Oh, yeah, all the time. Yeah. So, so I'm joking. But I think that's a little bit. I mean, I would say that's 20% true, 80% just whatever. But listen, they were yawning, and that dude fell asleep because we were boring.
Yes,
we were boring.
We were bad.
And so what we wanted to do was talk about
really bad.
When you bomb. What does it look like to go back to the drawing board, right? So like we've had articles on our website before talk about, hey, when you bomb your sermon, how should you think about it?
Yeah.
All that. What we wanted to do is be really constructive here. When you're teaching, lecturing, when you're presenting, when you're doing something like this and it doesn't go well, what does it look like to go back to the drawing board? How do you fix it? Because our content, I think largely is good.
I think our content is good. It didn't feel like us. I think that's one thing.
There was just a lot missing.
I think people were starting to get animated and excited when we became us.
Yeah, you could see it.
You could see it, right? Like when we just kind of do what we do. But unfortunately, we weren't doing what we do. We were doing something. We're I don't want to say any names.
Yeah.
We
were doing a Jared Wilson. That's what you could say it. I know that's what you're thinking.
It crossed my mind.
I'm just kidding. So here's the thing. When you have to go back to the drawing board because your presentation didn't work, so like, we're not going to ditch. We're not going to ditch all this stuff.
No, the content was great.
But we've got to fix it and we want it to be really good. So Jimmy and I came up with 10 issues to address if you're going back to the drawing board. And number one, Jimmy, is what?
Do not despair.
You got to start there.
You got to start there because that's immediately where you're going to go. I mean, actually, as soon as it was done, I leaned over to Joe. I'm like, what just happened?
I don't think that's what you said.
Joe, I don't want to say exactly.
Okay.
There's things that stay between you and
I.
I.
Oh, no, they're private?
They're private.
They're private, okay.
Hey, what's said in group chat stays in group chat.
Yeah.
Don't pull a McCoy on us.
Okay, well, I'll put a screenshot up. So well, listen, you're inclined to despair because you know it didn't go well.
Yeah.
And
you could feel it. You're embarrassed.
I was embarrassed while we were doing it.
Oh, yes,
especially when you were talking. Oh my gosh!
I was so embarrassed.
No,
it was.
But I felt bad for us because we just were not delivering, and so the temptation to despair happens when you forget that what you were giving them was the truth.
Yeah,
and the truth is going to be used even if you weren't very good.
Yeah,
so you don't have to despair. And we heard from some people that they said, hey, it was really good. We have not yet gotten the feedback forms yet.
Yeah, we'll find out there. But there's some people that I actually respect. That said, yeah, you know what? It was good. Content was great. Like it was. They felt like it was engaging, and yet I'm like, well, I mean, what else?
But then again, like their A is our C minus. You know what I'm saying?
And that might be it, right? Is that we just have such a higher level of expectation for each other?
Yeah, expectation, not expertise. So don't despair. Like just know this: you gave the truth. God's going to use the truth. Yep. Number two.
This is hard.
This is hard, and I think this might be harder for a lot of people. If you blew it, don't get defensive.
Yeah.
All right, and
just own it.
Because listen, you're going to get defensive, and you could blame the room. Hey, listen, we had a chalkboard instead of a whiteboard.
No one could read it because it was an orange chalk.
So like I could, but it didn't even enter my mind. But you could blame circumstances. You can blame people. You could blame the audience or the congregation. Or,
the lunch. It was after lunch.
Don't get defensive. Listen, just own it. And like Jimmy said, just own it and say, okay. If you can avoid despair and defensiveness, you can then begin to make real progress in retooling and reworking your presentation so that it's going to be good. What should they do? Number 3, Jimmy?
Immediately, you need to get feedback. Mm-hmm. And I think we're waiting for feedback from Legacy, which will be fantastic.
Did they all wake up in time to take the survey?
Yeah, they couldn't leave unless they did.
Okay, good.
So that was helpful. I appreciated that. But get feedback, ask questions, and I talk to people that we know and that I like, and people that I know they're going to be honest with us because, we have people that are supporters and listeners and stuff like that, people that like us, but that there are people that genuinely love us enough to be honest with us on what's working, what's not working. And so there was a couple guys there, and a gal there that I trust and wanted to hear from them because I know they're going to tell us what went well and what didn't work.
You know, the nice thing about legacy workshops is everybody has to fill out an assessment form or an evaluation form, and you've got to rate the overall thing on a scale of 1 to 5. You got to rate the different aspects. There's room to leave notes. Like, it's going to be helpful. It's going to be painful.
Oh, it's going to be so painful.
But you got to get feedback.
Oh, gosh.
And
the worst thing that could happen, I'll be really frustrated if we got 5s across the board. Like if everyone's just like, this was great. I'm just saying, if someone did that, if that's what we got, I'd be really frustrated because I'd be like, this is no help at all.
Yeah.
It's the same thing like with a sermon or when you're doing like a leadership lab thing. When it's only praise, it's like, all right, listen, I know it wasn't that good.
Yeah.
Don't lie to me.
Listen, in the past when I get they actually send the actual papers. There's a lot of information given by these. People fill out the form. They write sentences about it.
That's so helpful.
So yeah, it's going to be get feedback. And so the feedback that you want to get are in particular areas, right? And so one of the areas of feedback, one of the questions, if you can't get feedback, but one of the questions you should be asking yourself is, was I unclear?
Yeah.
Was I unclear in my main point, my main idea? Did everybody know where I was going, where I wanted to take them, and what this whole thing was ultimately about? And listen, if you can't summarize what your whole thing was about in one very succinct sentence, then yes, you were unclear.
Exactly.
If you don't know what you were like, what is it? Chappell talks about the 3 a.m. test. Do you remember that? The 3 a.m. If I call you at 3 a.m. in the morning, wake you out of sleep and say, "What's your sermon on for the next day?" You would better be able to rattle it off without even thinking about it in a short, succinct sentence. And that should be true of any of your presentations. You got to be able to say, "This is what it's all about." So, were you unclear? That's a really good question to ask and to get feedback on.
Yeah. Another question you should be asking is, was I organized? Right? Were people able to kind of know where I was going?
Could they go with the flow?
Did they know, like, was there transitions from point to point? Did every point kind of fit within the overall summary as Joe was talking about? So yeah, people got to know, you got to ask yourself, did I have this organized well in such a way that even if people were writing minimal notes, they'd be able to recollect and say, I see where this guy's going.
Like we always ask, like I know in like with Jimmy's preaching or my preaching or anybody's preaching at Redeemer, we always want, and this is how we say it every time. If you're going to be preaching, make sure that what you create, you restate, and you alliterate, right? That's what we always say.
And then replicate.
Yeah, that's right. No, we don't do any of that. But organization is absolutely key because even if you're not, doing alliteration and all that cutesy stuff, an organized presentation allows the mind to hold on to all of it much better than if you don't. So don't despair. Don't get defensive. Get feedback. Was it unclear? Was it organized or unorganized? Number 6, were you persuasive? Or were you not persuasive? I mean, listen, and this has to do with not just the argument that you're making, okay, but it has to do with the way in which you are engaging the topic. I mean, if
you're talking about like if you're monotone, if you're just sitting there just like...
It relates to that, but it also relates to the answers that you are providing to the questions that you are assuming, right? So like a lot of people, when you're bringing up, if you're talking about something, if you're in any given subject, there are people that are listening to you that are going to have questions.
Yes.
Or they're going to have pushback.
Yes.
Always. You have to anticipate those questions and that pushback, like Paul does in Romans, right? Romans 6, for example, Romans 9. You have to anticipate that and then answer it. And if you're not doing that, you're not going to be persuasive because you're not dealing with the pressing issues in the mind of your hearers or your listeners. So it has everything to do with tone as well, but primarily what I'm talking about is the argument. Not only is your argument clear and organized, but it ought to be persuasive. It ought to be thorough. Because what you're talking about, when you get to tone and stuff like that, really has to do with number 7.
Yeah, I mean, was I dull? I mean,
we were dull. I think we were dull.
It felt like we were.
Right. I don't know. So let's go through this a little bit. Okay, so we didn't despair. We didn't get defensive. We're going to get feedback. Were we unclear? I don't know. I don't think we were unclear on our goal.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think we were unorganized.
No.
I do think we were perhaps unpersuasive.
I think so. I don't think we were answering the right questions.
And I think we were dull.
We were definitely dull.
Yeah, and so we're talking about like passion, enthusiasm, the way in which you deliver your material.
And delivery is important. I think we underestimate the power of.
Especially in reform circles.
Oh yes, because the idea is like, well, no, I'm just giving the word. The word will do what the word does, right? The Spirit will work, and I'm not disagreeing. Don't hear us saying that you've got to.
I'm disagreeing.
No, but I'm saying was, people think that you
guys are
put
boring
on a big show, but you really do need to think through. I do think through. Like when I'm giving a sermon, I'm thinking through certain phrases and certain lines and certain styles for different points of the sermon, because I want to get the point across. The point is going to be better understood if I enunciate this way, if I talk at this pace, then you know what I mean. Like
so some of it is actual strategy. Like, okay, I'm going to slow down here and make this so they really hear me carefully. But it's also, we're just talking about earnestness. Hey, Reformed guys, read Spurgeon on earnestness. Read John James on earnestness. Because what we're talking about then is a passion that is believable, right? Like, oh, wow, this guy actually believes what he's talking about.
Yeah.
This guy actually is experiencing what he's talking about. It's not a lecture, which is good. Lectures are good. It's not just a lecture transmitting information. He really wants me to grasp the significance of this. So don't be dull. Another question to ask is, was it practical?
Yeah.
In other words, do people know how this should impact their lives? What is the takeaway here? If I don't do this, what am I missing? Or if I want to do this, what will that look like? Where do I start?
Yeah.
Right. So even if you're giving like a class on how to better manage your finances, people need to know where to start. Like, so what do? I will get some envelopes, label them this way, throw some cash in them, don't touch, like whatever the method is, you got to have some practical how-tos.
Yeah, David Ramsey this thing.
Yeah, so I'm not a David Ramsey guy. I'm just saying, like, that's the kind of thing that people want to know is what are my next steps?
Yeah.
So this is real. Now what? What am I supposed to believe? What am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to respond? What will it look like? But also with this, like, and related to that issue of practicality are the stakes.
Oh, and I think this is where we really failed, Joe. Like looking back on it, I'm not sure we expressed the importance of what we're discussing. Like if you don't get this, you're missing that.
Right. The danger factor.
The danger factor. I mean, to use a word, the drama effect, right? Like, and that's what I'm not sure. I don't think.
Which is weird because you are a drama mama.
Yeah.
I mean,
but,
really,
but not there.
Not that day.
Not that day. No. And so, people have to understand what's important here, what's at stake here, why, because it's really then, because they're asking themselves the question within the first few moments, why should I be listening?
Yeah. So what? Okay, listen, I haven't been doing this for 45 years.
Yeah.
Why? What's the point?
Now?
Who cares? What am I missing out? The stakes are always really important in anything that whether you're writing a story, whether you're preaching, giving a presentation. They're going to want to know that. And then lastly and 10thly, and we could have done better here as well.
Yeah.
Always, how can you be more dependent upon God in this presentation?
In the preparation as well. Yeah.
Yeah. In preparation and delivery. How can you be more dependent, and how can you be praying more throughout? Yeah. And I've experienced this, quite a bit. I've been preaching for a long time. And when I'm prayed up and like really dependent on God, everything seems to work much better.
Yeah, it all clicks.
Than when I just wing it, and just like not wing it, but like when I just kind of go up.
You never really wing it.
But when I go up, I just mean like when I go up without praying.
Yeah,
it's like when I'm afraid this is going to be a terrible sermon, I'm praying a lot.
Yeah,
and it turns out like, hey, that wasn't so bad.
Yeah.
And sometimes when I think this sermon's going to be great, and I'm not praying.
That's right. Where's your confidence in?
Right. So. Yeah, I would say it's pretty fair to say you're going to have to teach, lead, preach, give a presentation, and sometimes it's going to go bad.
Oh yeah, like the Jofo had.
Yeah, we had a bad one. And so we just want to formally apologize.
Yeah, I'm really sorry, Brian.
Yeah, Brian was there.
No, I'm talking about Brian Dye.
Oh yeah, Brian Dye.
Yeah,
he runs the whole thing.
Yeah, sorry,
Brian. It was
sorry. Thank you for giving us a shot.
Yeah,
I hope we can make it up to you next year. Like I really, it like.
Well, they recorded it, so they'll be. I don't even think it recorded all of it. No, it did. It did. It just.
I would just, dude.
So they'll listen to it.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, and
I was embarrassed. I was like, yeah. Anyways.
So listen,
Sorry, Brian.
When it happens, go back to the drawing board. You're going to get another opportunity,
Maybe.
And so, like, listen. This is something that we do. We just want to be able to communicate it well to other people, so that you guys can do it as well. So we're going back. We're going to work this out, and then we're going to make sure it's available for everybody. Well, once it's not so dull, impractical, unclear on the stakes and all that stuff.
So listen, we'd love to hear your, horror stories. When have you bombed? When have you bombed?
Yeah, hashtag Doc and Devo.
Yeah, hashtag us. We'd like to know, when did you bomb?
We don't want to feel all alone here.
Yeah. It can't just be us. I mean, I know.
Well, it could be.
No,
we have smart listeners.
No,
we don't have them Soteriology 101 listeners.
No, I've listened to some of our listeners. No, you bombed. You just didn't know you bombed. So you can follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Doc and Devo, or on Facebook /Doctrine and Devotion. You can head on the website, drdevotion.com. There you can contact us. Contact us, sign up for the email blast, or hit up the store, jofostore.com, and grab some gear.
Hey.
Yeah.
Is the conference info going to be launched by the time the thing drops, you think?
I would hope. I would hope.
Just go check it out.
Go check it out.
Doctrineanddevotion.com/conference.
Yes.
Just go see.
Yeah, go see. Hopefully it's up.
Oh.
It should be up this week, I would think.
Okay.
Hopefully. Fresh pod every Monday and Thursday, blog post on Wednesdays, video content.
Never!
Later.